Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lenz and you're watching Get Germanized, people's thoughts and comments underneath my Rammstein Deutschland analysis video.
I am bored. What should I do?
Ich weiß.
So a couple of days ago I've published a video, on the new song Deutschland by Rammstein together with my friend Jesselyn. She helped me out and people's reactions were mixed, very interesting for sure, and I want to read, together with you through some of the comments people have left underneath my video. This might be very polarizing, very weird in a way for some people. So just a little disclaimer, just a little warning. I'm not gonna give my opinion to all the comments, but to some of the comments. We shall see. And I'd say we'll just get started right away. Lasst uns anfangen. So the first comment here is by the Teenage Casual. Now, I've only heard the phrase Germany above all used in a negative view. I don't speak Germany, but I know the history a little. What do you think he meant by Germany above all? Is he saying he is German and proud, which is what I kind of understand, or does he have some slightly fascist intent? This person here didn't watch the video, I don't think, because I clearly said Rammstein is not a right-wing band. They are not fascist at all. They are actually left-wing, if anything. And they didn't sing Germany above all. They said Germany above everyone. So they changed the meaning here, which we weren't sure about actually why they did that. Maybe you guys have an idea and can leave it in the comments underneath this video. Next up, a comment by Space Ape 17. The folks who are on Rammstein's case about the Holocaust scene obviously didn't actually read into the lyrics. The telling of Germany's turbulent past and rough outlook is moving and does a great justice to Germany as a nation. I agree. I really do not understand why people, I do understand in a way. For example, Germans are offended by the Holocaust scenes and stuff like that. Oh, you can't show that. It's too terrible. But it is part of German history. It is a terrible part of German history, but it is part of German history nonetheless. So yeah, I think it's great that they actually went through all of that and didn't sugarcoat these things. Next up, a comment by Sisterhood of Spliffs and Riffs. This may have been stated already, she said, but her skin color is very important to the metaphor. She represents the German flag. She is black, adorned gold and accented in red. Actually, before I read this comment, I don't know why it's so obvious, but I haven't thought about this, but you're right. That's also a good reason why she might be black in the video. Not that it matters, like I said already, but that could be a stylistic choice as well. And among other choices or other reasons. But yeah, next up, a comment by Harley D. The puppy that was born is a Leonberger. That was the first purebred German breed dog before the German Shepherds even. In the 1830s, Heinrich Essig, a dog breeder and seller and mayor of the town of Leonberg near Stuttgart in Baden-Württemberg, Germany, developed the Leonberger. That's actually a very interesting fact. I didn't know this. But yeah, you're right. The puppies are Leonberger dogs. Carsten Fritsche said, the first scene is not the Varusschlacht. The battle took place in 9 AD. The date during this scene is 16 AD. So it refers to the troops of Germanicus finding the corpses of the Roman victims of the Varusschlacht hanging from trees. The scene with the men in 17th or maybe 18th century clothing surely does not refer to colonialism. Germany had no colonies before the middle of the 19th century. I think this scene refers rather to the uprising against Napoleon and the first idea of Germany as a unified nation. And Jesselyn actually commented here, they had unofficial colonies in the 1600s. Oh, I didn't know that. You are correct that they didn't have official colonies until 1884. See? And then Oddball Sock said the 17th century soldiers, Alte Fritz equal Prussia, Frederick the Great. Prussia was a very aggressive nation, only seeking conquest around its borders. Strange that the director could not bring in more Prussia in this story. Probably they had something, but it would not fit into the video for artistic reasons. Also, I do not believe that the majority of Germans would know a whole lot about Prussia, like detailed stuff at least. Thomas Arendt says, I think moreover that the table with people underneath which are fighting represents the birth of the conscience of the German nation, actually. One has to know that Germany was actually more or less unified through the Holy Roman Empire, but those small nations, while speaking the same language and having cultural similarities, were fighting against each other for personal interests, religion, wars, territories, etc. Hence the people who are violently feasting on what appears to be Germany's corpse. Only after the Napoleon Wars has the consciousness of a Germanic nation risen, actually, over the resentment of cruel defeats and French imperialism at the time. Actually, Prussia managed to unite all those small nations, and Bavaria and Alsace and Lorraine war winnings in 1871 in Versailles. Well, this is a nice comment here. The black woman has no place in German history. This is the point of having her in the video. I highly doubt that, actually. But anyway, Christian Asterix 1301 says, hey, thanks for the really deep analysis. I don't think the red light is supposed to be a red line, roter Faden, but more like a scan. The aliens / astronauts trying to scan the German history. Well, that is debatable. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it's all up for discussion. I'm not saying this is wrong or what I said is right. Obviously, it could mean anything until Rammstein come out with like an official statement, which I doubt they will. We can just guess. So the scene where Germania lies down and all the men having a feast, I also think it represents the colonial period, and they are robbing and gutting those countries by eating from her, not eating herself. They are eating sauerkraut and sausages, a German national dish. If you analyze the RAF scene, you might have noticed that Germania is held hostage. So Germany was held hostage by the RAF. That is a very good point, actually, and the point before is interesting as well. At the end, I think that aliens want to rebirth a new Germany, or at least save the country, the culture, or the German people, represented in form of dogs. Interestingly, not as German Shepherds, Schäferhunde. In the video, you see them earlier, but Leonberger. They were almost wiped out in World War I and II. They are fearless, obedient, loyal, comradely, adaptable, loving. Very interesting fact, I think. Yeah, I think Leonberger dogs are bound to be, or are known to be, more gentle than German Shepherds as well. You mentioned the scene where Germania wears the eye catcher. You mean the eye patch? Auf einem Auge blind sein means to look away. She's not looking in the direction where the execution is going on. So, like Germany did. Really? Did she look into the direction of the execution? Wasn't it like just her in the scene? Let's actually go up and check real quick. I think that's the picture I used for the thumbnail, right? Where she just looked into some direction. Actually, in this direction, she looks away from it. In this scene here, she looks away. So yeah, in that one scene that I found, she looked away, and I think in the scene that I used for the thumbnail, it's just her looking in some direction, but I'm not sure if it's clear that she's looking towards the execution. Anyway, next up, a comment by E.T. I see no hate, vitriol, or agenda in this video. They displayed in a creative and sympathetic manner, so likable manner, I guess, the things that actually happened, with slices of some of the greatest atrocities this world has ever seen, to what the average German citizen caught in the middle during such dire times must have been thinking. Perhaps this is simply just an amazingly ballsy, creative, and galvanizing music video that took an extreme amount of hard work and money to pull off. Nobody makes videos like Rammstein, agreed. It's also a damn good, driving and unrelentingly brutal song from a band that has stood the test of time. Also, Lady Germania's white uniform is probably just a surplus marching band garb, haha. That might also be true. I thought about that as well in retrospect, that it might just be a marching band outfit. And, well, I mean, this comment seems a little bit biased. You are probably a big fan of Rammstein as well. But, I mean, I am too, so yeah. I agree with you, though. But maybe just because we're fans. Andreas Seemann says, I think the scene where the Germans are feasting off Germania represents the Catholic Church feasting off the land while the peasants suffer from hardships, as seen below the table. That ultimately led to the Reformation and the 30-Year War, which is a very major event in German history. True, that could also be true. I think we said that, right? That they're feasting off the land and the church and the feudal lords and stuff like that, right? I think we mentioned that. Joan Lynch says, did you notice that the eye patch switched sides? You two have done an excellent job analyzing the video by Rammstein. Thank you very much. And I did not know that, notice that, actually. Let me see if I can find that. So You mean it's at some point on the left? Really? Well, here it's on the right side. Oh, I know why you would think that, because I mirrored the images sometimes. Yeah, no, in the original video, it doesn't switch sides, I don't think. Sorry about that. Next up, comment by Link670. Could the feasting on Germania by the monks possibly be a reference to the subjugation of German lands under the banner of the Holy Roman Empire by the Church and the Papal States? Then Oddball Sock responded, Luther's Reformatism. Germania women equals unity. She was united in a Catholic faith, then came Reformation split, and that's why it's in the video. Then comes automatic fights, hate, struggle, killings, because that is human nature, human German nature. Okay, then. The eating the intestines might refer to Catholic corruption and narcissism that cannibalizes on the true faith by acquiring lots and lots of land and taxes. Exactly the reason for Luther to start. Interesting. Eugenia Litovchenko says, thanks for the video. It was really interesting to hear your opinions and thoughts about it. By the way, when I saw Richard Kruspe as an SS officer with a scar, I thought he represents Otto Skorzeny. He was a Obersturmbannführer and really had the scar on his face. That might also very well be. I didn't know that dude, but Rammstein very well might have. And what about dogs? I've heard some opinions about it. One of them is giving birth to dogs is showing birth rate is very low in Germany. Well, not so sure about that. That's why Germania in the coffin and future generations just see momentums. What remained after the country when what you discussed at 2006. I mean, could also just mean that civilization has destroyed itself because we didn't learn from mistakes made in the past and just repeated them until we were all gone. But yeah, I mean, could be anything. Next up, a comment by Adriana Batya. I don't understand the manufactured outrage concerning the Holocaust scenes in this video. I'm Jewish, as well as Italian and German, and I took no offense whatsoever. The song is about Germany's turbulent history, and the Holocaust is part of that history. With regards to their politics, I think Rammstein is actually a very left-wing band. All of its members are from the former DDR, so the GDR. And I noticed a theme in the music video of the German people, including its Jewish citizens, revolting against tyrannical authority. For example, the Jews shooting the Nazis, members of the West German Rote Armee Fraktion, the Red Army fraction, struggling with the police, and protesters throwing Molotov cocktails, etc. Think about how Adolf Eichmann cited Kant's categorical imperative as a justification for his actions. He made the point that Germans are very mindful of their duty towards their nation and their leaders, following orders from above. Basically, his defense was that he simply was following orders, and that good Germans feel an obligatory duty to follow the leader. Rammstein is depicting a break with this trend in German history, to not blindly follow our leaders. And people responded to this. Indeed, Rammstein addressed the issue of their political allegiances in Links 234. They want my heart to be in the right place, but I look down and it beats on the left 2, left 2, left 2, 234. Itself a callback to an East German communist song. Drum links 2-3, drum links 2-3. Interesting, I didn't know that actually. Wo dein Platzgenosse ist, reih dich ein in die Arbeiter Einheitsfront, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist. I agree with you. The main accusation for what I have read is that Rammstein have instrumentalized Holocaust, instrumentalized for commercial purpose. What? Instrumentalized? You mean? I totally disagree on this point, as I see the song and the video as a piece of art more than a piece of business. I agree with you actually on that. My impression is that a part of the Jewish world, mainly those connected with the establishments, hold the Holocaust as a sacred property of Jewish people more than a dark and terrible page in human history. So seeing a desecration in its representation or reference quite easily, even whereas in this case there is not an offensive or disrespectful treatment of the historical depiction or of the memory of the victims. Rammstein is neither left or right. The assault in Chemnitz was very controversial. Assault in Chemnitz? What does that have to do with Rammstein? They literally said they were on the left, says Skiamakos. Yeah, I think they did. Lichtwerkers Videografie says, so specialists, what about the astronauts in U-boat in... what? What about the astronauts, the U-boat in space? You're missing a big part, my friend. The U-boat in space? You mean the coffin? what we talked about at the very end of the video, because that is at the very end of the video. I don't think we missed that, actually. Yeah, here, this scene you mean, right? This is a coffin, not a U-boat. I would have noticed a U-boat. I think Jesselyn would have as well. And we talked about the astronauts, like coming back to look at the civilization left behind, or the civilization of the past, basically. And again, I'm not saying you are wrong when you think it's a U-boat or anything like that. This is all up for interpretation. It is art. So yeah, I just don't see it the same way. Ivy Sergeant John says the stag, the deer in the collar and leash next to the woman, and several other things in the video remind me of Grimm's fairy tale Brüderchen and Schwesterchen, so brother and sister. Guess sometimes also called the enchanted stag. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that, but could very well be, since the Brothers Grimm's fairy tales are a big part of German culture as well. Harley D says, now that we know what the red laser light signifies, maybe when the laser splits, this is to signify a split in the history or in the story. When it's all wind up as a single laser unified light, a story protruding from Deutschland at the end in contrast to the rest of the world. I mean, it could also be, again, this is all very, very vague, right? You can interpret it pretty much any way you want. Actually, this comment here by Ralvor, I think he goes into that laser stuff as well. You guys could have used the help of an artist here too. I've got you paused at 12:20, where the red lasers are forming a V towards the characters in the scene. As you two discussed and explained about the red line, I think in this instance the metaphor must be taken extra literally, since the lasers are drawing an arrow straight down at the characters, as if to not only say this is where our story continues, but something more like our story continues with them. I speak only English, so any German artists have any input on the visual context, please weigh in. Let me actually go to that scene that he's talking about at 12:20. Ah, here, that, yeah, I mean, it's very well possible. Looks like it now that you say it, or now that you mentioned it. Could be. Harley D again says, when Germania is kissing Teal's head and towards the end, remember Germania is the one that decapitated him, a Roman, at the beginning. And now Germania is dressed as Julius Caesar, the Roman emperor, kissing the head of the soldiers she killed at the beginning of the video. Or as the soldier. Yeah, that might be actually true. Didn't think about that. Space Ape 17 said, maybe the astronauts are from a future like in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, where babies are born in factories using the Bekanovsky process, and they are astounded by natural birth. Yeah, I mean, could be. And then Thomas Arendt says, it can also represent the DDR Sandmännchen, the Sandman. The Little Sandman. It was a popular TV show at the time referring to Zygmunt Yan, a famous DDR cosmonaut. It was so d'amour that there is a scene in Goodbye Lenin, or maybe in Das Leben der Anderen, in which you see the main character watching the show at a party with kids. I didn't actually know that the Sandmännchen was supposed to be referring to the cosmonaut. That's interesting. Julian Kyle says, kissing the decapitated head might be a reference to the cult of the dead heroes. Nation states love their deads, their martyrs. The more nationalist is a society, the more necrophiliac it is. Randolph Stearman says, a lot of history is confused / missed here. The German peasants' war versus the aristocracy / church is much more likely interpretation of the feeding scene than anything about colonialism. Also, the guys, I guess, in the black hats may be a reference to Frederick the Great, not colonial times. And then Jesselyn said, this is also possible. Such is the fun with trying to interpret stylized reference to histories crammed into a 9-minute video, lol. Yeah, indeed, that is true. I agree, like, you can't say, like, this is correct and this is wrong. This is all open to interpretation. Anyway, this video has been going on long enough. There's many, many more comments that we could go through. Many that are very polarizing as well and stuff. But if you want to read through them, just do it on your own time, because I don't want to keep you much longer in this video. But if you have anything to say, any more ideas, comment either underneath, well, this video or my analyzation video. And you can watch it as well, of course. We had a very fun time analyzing and talking about the Rammstein video. If you enjoyed this one, where I read through some of your comments, and if you want me to do more of these kind of videos and more music video analyzations in the future, then you know what to do. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my social media down here or in the video description. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.